You would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I would just like to remind somebody left their cowboy hat in the Mesa Verde room. It's underneath a chair up against the windows on this side of the room. So if that's yours, get it. Oh, David, okay. All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is the consent agenda, which is a group of items to be acted upon with a single motion and vote. It's designed to expedite limited and routine matters by council. I will ask if a citizen or a council member would like to amend the consent agenda, and at that time, you have the opportunity to speak up, and that item will be tabled until after the vote. The items on tonight's consent agenda include approval of the work session and regular meeting moments for February the 25th, 2020, approval of the expenditure vouchers of March the 10th, 2020, and the approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for the Wiggling Pig. At this time, are there any items on that consent agenda that anybody would like to see tabled? All right.
I don't have any.
In that case, I'd like a motion, please.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented with extra expenditures of $4,441.30.
A second.
Keel.
Aye.
Levy.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Betts. Aye. Sheik.
Aye. We have two presentations this evening. The first is the Arbor Day proclamation. And Rosa, are you going to take the lead on this?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're just asking that we name Thursday, April 23rd as the official Arbor Day for the city of Cortez. It's actually a day before the state Arbor Day, which is Friday, April 24th. We generally do it the Thursday before just because Mancus is out of school and Dolores is alternating out of school. And so that allows us to include more students from the community by doing it on Thursday. We are also asking, the fiscal impact is between $2,000 and $2,500, which will go to water bottles again this year. We changed it to water bottles last year per request of the teachers, and they just felt that was more eco-friendly and in line with our mission.
All right. Well, the proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind, water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas Cortez has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue in tree planting ways, now therefore I, Karen Sheik, Mayor of the City of Cortez, do hereby proclaim Thursday, April the 23rd, 2020 as Arbor Day in the City of Cortez, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to care for our trees and woodlands and to support our city's community forestry programs. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. There is a quotation that wise men plant trees under which they will never and be able to sit. And I think that that's something that our city has done a really good job of. We've planted trees for generations that we may not be able to enjoy them, but our children and our children's children will. So I'm really proud that we are a Tree City USA and that we recognize Arbor Day every year in this community. So would you like to have this, or, well, Linda has to sign it first, so just get it from her. All right. Thanks. Okay. The next presentation on the agenda tonight is from the Montezuma County Health Department. Obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the coronavirus is something on everybody's minds, and so Karen Dixon's going to be here this evening to tell you what our community is doing right now. We've got a plan.
Thank you, Karen. As Karen said, my name is Karen Dixon. I am the Regional Emergency Manager for Public Health based out of Montezuma County Public Health Department. And we are the lead agency. Public health is a lead agency when it comes to coronavirus. So I'd like to give you a little bit of update. I gave this presentation at the Board of County Commissioners this morning. It has changed since then. So it's changing constantly. And if the information that I give you is different than the information you hear when you get home, that's because it's changed again. This is a very rapidly evolving situation, so we have to take consideration that what you're hearing today is going to be different than what you hear tomorrow, and what's going to be different than what you hear the next day. So currently there are no persons under investigation in the Southwest region, which is the 5 counties and 2 tribes. In the state of Colorado, as of this evening, as of an hour ago, we have 18 cases of active coronavirus. So today, this morning, Governor Polis declared a state of emergency. At a local level, this doesn't affect us too much when we have no cases. I'm not going to go into detail what he talked about. It is all over the press. You can get that anywhere on social media. Once we do have a case, it will give us some allowance for healthcare workers who may become infected and must stay home, but they don't have the financial capability to do so. It will give them a little bit of leeway, and that's still something that the governor's office is trying to figure out exactly how that's going to work. We did have a conversation today with Southwest Memorial Hospital over the public screening and testing process and how that's going to look. So when the test kits come available, Southwest Memorial Hospital will be the location for a drive-through screening and testing process. We're still working out the details with them. We figured that they're probably the best location for doing it since they have that capacity, and if that person is symptomatic and ill, they can go straight to the hospital. But we're still working out those details, and Southwest Memorial is going to put out a press release as soon as they come up with their plan and determine how that's going to look. We could probably look for that press release to come out within the next 3-4 days, I believe. So right now, Montezuma County Public Health Department, we are our department operations center for the department itself. We are activated at a level 2, and what this means is there's just a lot more internal staff and external partner communication. We're holding briefings with the health department and all of the stakeholders and response agencies on Monday afternoons and on Friday mornings. And we're also, in that stakeholder process, we're also meeting with school districts, response agencies, Dolores County, and the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. Last night we met with the town of Dolores and presented to them. This morning, like I said, we had a meeting with the Board of County Commissioners. We've met with the Mancos School District. The town of Mancos is feeling like they're pretty okay right now. They have their plans in place, so we don't have to do a presentation for them. The regional updates that I have right now, the only ones I have right now, is that the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe is establishing some travel restrictions for their staff, and that document has not come out yet, but they will have some sort of document that states what their travel restrictions are as far as sending their staff to conferences or trainings in areas that may be more impacted. Most of you, or some of you, might have heard that the 9 health fairs have been postponed until the fall, so that is not going to happen right now. If coronavirus does progress, we're going to probably see a need for N95 respirators, And so right now, we have plans in place to use the respirators that we have within Montezuma County and within the region. We're not really giving any away. I've already put in an order for the state cash to supply the hospital with some extra N95 respirators and surgical masks. But right now, the priority is being given to counties that have the COVID-19 cases. So the Strategic National Stockpile, which is the national stockpile, we have a state stockpile and a national one, that has not yet been activated, which is a good thing, because with all the cases we have throughout the U.S., the Strategic National Stockpile not being activated means that we're doing okay so far. On Thursday, we will have a face-to-face meeting with all of our community partners in the response agencies, law enforcement, fire, some of the schools, hospitals, long-term care, and we'll make sure that our plans are all aligning and see if we have any gaps. Right now, we're feeling quite comfortable that where we are right now in our plans, the more days we don't have a case means more days that we can continue to make sure that our plans are adequate for the pretty much inevitable case that will be coming up. Let's hope that it's a while away. So we're going to continue our Monday and Friday briefings as long as possible. We have activated our community disease containment plan, our continuity of operations plan, which lets us plan how our health department will still run if we have a large population of our staff who end up being sick and having to stay home. Every business, every government entity should have some type of continuity of operations plan so that when their people get sick, how their business or their government agency is going to continue. It's pretty important. Right now, we have information posted on the Public Health Department's Facebook page. We have it on the county website, and we have a whole wall full of CDC flyers at the health department. We have links to all of those flyers on our website and on the Facebook page, so if you don't want to come in and just grab a flyer, you can connect to those links. Southwest Memorial Hospital, CDPHE, and the CDC all have really good sites with some really good information. That's where we're getting our guidance is from CDC and CDPHE, so we all have the same messaging, and we're not deviating from what they are asking us to provide to the public. So if you would like some good information, you can go to those, and those links are also on the Montezuma County Public Health Department Facebook page. And that is my report.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys' willingness to come down.
Thank you for having me here. Appreciate it.
I think the one thing that I would also emphasize for those who are here tonight and for you to share with your family and friends is that let's not panic about this. Flu's been around for a long time. I know this is a different kind of flu, but the same kinds of procedures that keep other communicable diseases under control, frequent, thorough washing of your hands. If you can't use soap and water, then get 60% alcohol, antibacterial sanitizer or wipes. If you've got a cough, then cough into your sleeve, and if you're sick, stay home. These are things that each of us has a responsibility to make this work. And it's not just Karen's or Bobby's or other government officials or community agencies. Each one of us can do our part to limit this. So thanks for coming, and thank you for keeping us posted.
Thank you as well. One little add-on to that, we have a 6-page document that lists all of the cleaning agents that will kill coronavirus. 6-page document. So it's not just hand sanitizer. Good. We have not received any guidance from the CDC requesting people to buy tons of toilet paper either. So I don't know where that came from. I honestly don't know where that came from, but you can probably disregard that need. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah. The hospital is doing, as she said, they're doing regular videos, and that's posted on the city's website, and I believe on the county's as well. So you can, and they're doing new ones frequently. So let's all do our part here. All right, the next item on the agenda is citizen participation. At this point, if there is anybody that would like to address council on anything that is not on the agenda, if you would please step to the podium and state your name and your address, please. Is it green? Is it green, Tammy? Okay, is it?
There we go. Tammy Lindsay, 1205 South Broadway, here in Cortez. I was asked to read this to you all. Thank you, Council Mayor Sheik, for giving us opportunity to voice opinions. Tiffany Randall asked me to read this to you all this evening. I apologize for not being able to attend tonight's meeting. I would like to express my concerns in regard to the reappointment of Planning and Zoning Commissioners Rebecca Levy and Tom Butler.
Tammy, not until that comes up on the agenda.
It's very short, anyway. First, the
but this is-
process
but-
of
but this-
reappointment
Tammy, this
has
isn't
not
the
been
time.
transparent or honest. I have searched for public records on these positions.
This is not the time. If you want to talk about this.
It's not on the agenda, correct?
It is on the agenda. If you're talking about the reappointment of somebody, it's on the agenda. If you'll look, please.
So this will have an opportunity to be read at another time?
Yes, you can. You can read it when the agenda item comes up. You certainly can.
And I don't see item 17 on the agenda? 7B, I'm sorry, I heard 7C, okay. My apologies.
Yeah, that's okay.
I just offered to read that.
I know. Is there anything else that is not on the agenda?
Good evening. Mindy Nelson wrote in. I'm here to speak about the Craft Studio 101 program.
Say that again, or the what?
The Craft Studio 101 program. As much as we all appreciate Rebecca to be the loyal employee and board member within the city of Cortez, I strongly believe currently Rebecca should focus
Mindy, I
on
think
actual
you're,
work on
Mindy,
hand.
stop just a second. I think you're getting ready to take this someplace
No,
that
ma'am,
unless...
I'm not. The presentation for the Craft 101 presented to the council, to the public as grant opportunity on 2/25/20 had no clarity to the purpose and conditions of the grant. No education was provided to the public about the grant. The city and the county not directed solely to the city. This is about the larger land and not the parks within city limits. The city doesn't control public lands. Has she presented Craft 101 to Montezuma County BOCC? Do both the county and the city support the cultural center financially? And if so, does the local government know that the money is being used for, and is the expenses approved with what it is used for? Craft 101 follows the rules from the United Nations called sustainable tourism. Maybe Rebecca could explain the term sustainable tourism to all of us. This is a very specific grant with strings attached that may make it not worth pursuing. The failure of the land use code and the leadership disposition Rebecca has proven during several presentations to the council, citizens, and the public should guide the council in general to wait for filling positions and allow the new council to step up and start with own choices and certain boards. As grateful as
I think you are now getting into areas that are going to be discussed on the agenda.
Okay, as grateful as the current council may be to have learned about this grant opportunity, the financial consequences will be on the next council. Approval of this grant or approval of the matching financial obligation should be on hold, especially if there's no deadline for this grant. I am not sure if this presentation at the last council was the first time the council learned about the Craft 101, or if this was a notification for the public and council already having knowledge about this grant, and the grant may have been approved already in the past. This grant is a grant that requires a membership, a 25% match, and in the end may cost more money to the taxpayer than it is worth at the first glance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Tom Butler. I live at 1718 Rolling Road here in Cortez. I am at present a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I serve 2 terms on the City Council. I'm a little premature. I, for some reason, was thinking this was the present council's last meeting.
Two more.
I,
Three more, actually.
I was thinking that it was, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to be sure and come up and address the city council and say what I think a grand job you all have done. And I want to compliment each and every one of you, because I know what it's like to sit up there. I served 2 terms, and there's no way you can please everyone, but you please a whole bunch, and I'm one of them. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Is anybody else? Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity, Council. My name is Alan Mays. I live on County Road 21 out at Lewis. My reason for coming up, last meeting of the Council, there were a couple of things. I made a little bit off the cuff comment about a presentation that was made that I think maybe been misunderstood. Maybe I wasn't as clear as I should have been, so I want to finish that. An earlier presentation was given, and I said that, well, maybe the City Council had been providing training to the staff about how they should do their public, staff should give their public comments. And the reason for that was a comment that was made a few council meetings back when one of your staff did use some, what I thought was not good language in a presentation in a public venue. And so my comment was, well, if you are giving training, that person did a better job. There was no swearing in that. And I know you know who I'm talking about. And so I just wanted to comment on that. But I do think that maybe some customer service representative type of training needs to be given to anyone that works for either voluntarily or in a committee with the City Council, because they do represent the city. And so I think that having a little more personal responsibility when they speak to the public is important. And so I just want to have you keep that in mind. The other thing that I want to talk about is that I have not heard anyone give an apology, whether it was a joke or not, to the veterans of this community for some comments that were put on Facebook. And so I think those need to be done, either in a public venue that we know that those kinds of comments aren't made either. Again, I know what I'm talking about. The presentation last meeting by the young lady who spoke about wolves, I think she did a great job.
She did.
And I think that asking her if it was a class project maybe was a little out of line, because I think she had her own personal thoughts on that. I think she put some effort into that research that she did. And so whether it was a class project, that was for her class. What she did here was for the community. And I think that needs to be recognized too.
I think it was recognized, and I don't think the question as to whether or not it was a class project was there was any intention of devaluing what she did in any way at all. It's just the person that asked that was an educator, and I think he was just interested in knowing whether that was something that she was doing in her class work. So let's not be too nitpicky here. It's you guys come up here and talk about being respectful. It's a mutual. It's a two-way street.
Sure. I just think that that changed her demeanor in her presentation too. But it was a good presentation.
It was an excellent
One last thing, the health department's presentation this evening was very good, and I think those kinds of things need to be done a little bit more. The young man who came up and asked, this is a pandemic, to the city council at a city council meeting, that he probably should have been invited to this meeting so that he could have heard that. And that's neither here nor there. But one other thing with the health department, if you do feel that you have symptoms, I've heard that you should call your doctor before you go in. You should call the hospital before you go in. Just keep that in mind. So.
The city will be sponsoring a Q&A in the near future that will be open to the public so that anybody can come and ask questions. So we're really trying to do our part to make sure that everybody is educated and that we minimize the sense of panic that some people are feeling. So,
right. Well, thank you very much.
And the gentleman that was here the other night, I did write a letter to him, providing him with a lot of the information. So there was follow-up on that, just for your information.
Well, good, because I think that he was paying attention to things, and I think we maybe should have been paying a little more attention, or as much attention that maybe he had put into it, because I think he was speaking from his heart, too, that we need to be prepared. So, anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We don't have any public hearings this evening. We don't have any unfinished business. Under new business, the 2020 vehicle bid results. Rick?
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and City Council, the 2020 Equipment Fund provides $140,000 for the purchase of 2 police patrol pickups, 1 SUV for the detective department, and 1 pickup with utility bed for building maintenance. Specifications were drawn up and bids received on February 26th. The city received 2 local responses to our request and 1 out-of-town bidder. These bids were then compared to the Colorado State bid for vehicles specified. And also, you will note that the Colorado State bid was charged the local vendor preference amount by city policy and the estimated delivery charges from Denver to Cortez. The following is an overview. Bid item 1, the full-size police pickups. The apparent low bidder is Morehart Murphy with a Dodge Ram. $32,556.36 each. Bid item 2, which is the SUV for the detectives, True West, at a bid price of $27,451. And bid item 3, the low bidder is Colorado State bid, $37,354.44. The above purchases as recommended for the equipment fund would total $129,918.16, which is $10,081.84 below the budgeted amount. And note that these were in the budget for the equipment fund.
All right, council, does anybody have any questions about those items?
I don't.
May I have a motion?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to award the 2020 vehicle bid as follows. Bid item 1, 2 units to the low bidder Morehart Murphy, bid at the amount of $32,556.36. Each bid item 2, 1 unit to the low bidder True West at the bid amount of $27,451. Bid item 3, 1 unit to the low bidder Colorado State bid at the bid amount of $37,354.44. Do you need the total? Yep. For a grand total of $129,918.
Second it.
16 cents.
Thank you.
Lucero?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
Mayor, I request that the council table ordinance number 1274, Series 2020, and send it back to the Planning Commission for further work.
May I have a motion?
Make a motion to table ordinance number 1274, series 2020.
I second that.
Keel.
Aye.
Betts.
Aye.
Levy.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. I am thinking that we're going to table this motion as well. We had talked about the naming of the South Neighborhood Park, and there was some concern the top vote getter was Panther Park. Well, we have a Panther field that's just down the street. And so there was some feeling among some of the council members that rather than confusing the issue somewhat, that maybe we should take the runners up and issue a new survey and get input based on that. So Dean Palmquist was going to look into that and get a new survey out to the community, and we'll go from there. So the next item is the reappointment of planning and zoning members, considering the reappointment of Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy. John? Oh, do we? Okay. Can I have a motion to table that, please?
I'll make a motion to table the naming of the South Neighborhood Park until which time we can get another survey done on it.
Second.
Levy.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Betts.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Reappointment of planning and zoning members, Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy. John?
You have before you the reappointment of Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have received numerous emails, both pro and con, for appointment of Rebecca Levy. Those have been given to the council, but staff's recommendation is that both Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy be reappointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
All right, I'm assuming that there are some people that would like to speak to that.
Certainly apologize for jumping the gun
Oh,
there
that's
earlier.
okay.
I didn't see it on the agenda.
That's okay.
Again, Tammy Lindsay, 1205 South Broadway, reading this on behalf of Tiffany Randall. I apologize for not being able to attend tonight's meeting. I would like to express my concerns in regards to the reappointment of Planning and Zoning Commissioners Rebecca Levy and Tom Butler. First, the process of reappointment has not been transparent or honest. I have searched for public record of those positions being available for appointment and cannot find any record on the City of Cortez website or in the Journal. It is no surprise that there are only 2 submittals for this position. I don't know where Tiffany was receiving that information, but as there was no opportunity for anyone else interested to submit a letter. Also, these are positions the newly elected City Council will need to work closely with in the future, and it should be that council's decision to determine those important commissioner seats. I kindly ask that you do not appoint these commissioner seats, but restart the process and complete it correctly by advertising the positions and allow the opportunity for others to submit a letter of interest and allow the new council to appoint the commissioner seats. On that note, I would agree and like to add that we live in a wonderfully diverse community of which all members of that community deserve representation, not just a select few. It's time to exercise fair, transparent, and equal process to all of our community so everyone can participate. This is the correct step toward a better understanding and a better environment for working together for everyone. Again, thank you, and I think you all have done a great job, really. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the past few weeks here. We're back. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address council?
My name is Elizabeth Berger, and I live on Road 29. I'm getting more and more familiar with the stacks of paperwork that comes
with the city council meeting, and I looked at page 55, 56, and 57. 55 is where the city manager proposes Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy, and thank you very much for doing an evaluation. And the evaluation reads, they have been both reliable commission members and have a good record of attendance at planning and commission meetings, workshops, and other events. Both have demonstrated adequate preparation and attention to the matters brought before them. And I agree for the honest opinion, adequate means knowing the basics. If I would hire a person, I would like words like excellent, outstanding, beyond expectations, involved, problem solving, initiative, on top of issues. Adequate is fair. Do we only have these two applicants for this job? Or are there more and the city council did not get the other names or their qualifications? On page 56, it is Tom Butler who makes his presentation in one sentence. I'm interested in serving another term on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Thanks for your consideration. How about why? Why should City Council appoint another term for Tom Butler? What can he contribute? What are his successes in the past term? What can he realistically accomplish in the next term? What are his goals? What can other voters, board members count on that he can accomplish? What is his professional goal in his serving on this board? What is his thrive? Okay, the next page was Rebecca. And Rebecca Levy says, I have served a full term on the city's Planning and Zoning Commission and would be honored to be reappointed to serve the city for another term. My experience in community development and land use planning includes 7 years of professional long-range planning and development review, in addition to 7 years voluntarily serving on a planning and zoning commissions. Dear Rebecca, why should City Council reappoint you? What does make you stand out from your competitors? As you have served the board and were involved in the revision of the land use code that the people of Cortez requested the City Council to not pass, what have you learned about this out of this experience? How do you want to apply your gained knowledge in the next term? What motivates you to pursue another term? Does City Council know these answers? Why should City Council appoint you over somebody else now? So my concerns are, do we really have the best candidates here on the table that will serve the next City Council? And I'm hoping that this council will work towards a amicable transition and maybe postpone the reappointment of the planning and zoning members so that the new city council can address the issues that are on their table at the beginning. Thank you for listening and your consideration.
Good evening, Council. My name's Bill Banks. I live at 403 North Henry. I was asked to read this letter. It comes from Dave Waters. It says, Dear Mayor Sheik and council members, unfortunately I am out of town on business and will not be able to attend this regular council meeting tonight, March 10th. However, I feel strongly regarding the reappointment of Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy to the Planning and Zoning Commission Board. I feel that these members should not be reappointed for many reasons. First, Ms. Levy does not conduct herself in a professional manner at public meetings, as was witnessed at the January 14th City Council meeting and on many other public meetings. Second, these two persons, Tom Butler and Rebecca Levy, that Planning and Zoning Commissioners recommended to you that you pass, were highly involved in the most recently proposed land use code that was not approved by City Council. This was an issue that big that the public, the citizens of Cortez, showed deep concern and requested City Council to oppose in recent breaking numbers. This proves that these commissioners of P&Z have lost confidence from the public and have lost touch with what the citizens of Cortez need and want. Thirdly, this current situation is another example of the City of Cortez's lack of transparency with the community, as these positions, to the best of my knowledge, were not advertised as being available for appointment to the public. I have checked the City of Cortez's website and the Journal for advertisement and cannot find record of any. Also, I feel that if these commissioners are reappointed without the opportunity for other interested community members to be involved and present new ideas, this would be exhibiting the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Last but not least, I believe that the newly elected City Council in April would be the appropriate council members to appoint these positions, as those council members will be the ones that will have to work with these commissioners in the future. It is my strong hope that current City Council aims for a professional and amicable transition of the council and mayor, and will provide an easy start to the new City Council and not burden the new City Council members with past issues right from the start. Please allow the new City Council to appoint the new board members and chair. Sincerely, Dave Waters, D&L Construction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mindy Nelson wrote in. I guess I'll finish what I was going to say. The experience of the new land use code is an example that important detailed information has been missed, and Rebecca may have misinterpreted the public opinion. The new view case that forced the City Council into a lawsuit that could have been avoided was not appropriate. Unnecessary expenses, time, and stress have burdened council in these cases and ruptured the relationship with the citizens of Cortez. The failure of the land use code and the leadership disposition Rebecca has proven during several presentations to the council, citizens, and the public should guide the council in general to wait on filling open positions and allow the new City Council to step up and start their own choices of certain boards. Allow Rebecca more time to practice leadership skills, public relation ethics, and communication skills on smaller scales projects outside the public prior to burden Rebecca. It is the obligation of a responsible supervisor and manager to wisely guide employee towards growth and personal success. In this case, the obligation may be with the City Council and City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Holly Tatnall, and I live at 1210 Cochita Drive in Cortez. I do have a prepared statement I'd like to read, but at some point in time, I've served on several city boards, and my awareness of needing board representatives is that they have been advertised regularly in the newspaper if there were openings that needed to be filled. And so maybe the city wants to address that, and perhaps they're not if there are people on the members. I'm also quite familiar with the fact that very often there is nobody who wants to run, and planning and zoning is most commonly one of the ones that no one wants to run for. So nobody's jumping up and down for that position. So now let me read my statement, catch my breath. I'm nervous. I don't know why.
You're just talking to us.
You I've talked to all the time.
That's right.
I'd like to speak in favor of Becky Levy remaining on the city's Planning and Zoning Board. I personally know Becky from her work as Executive Director of the Cortez Cultural Center, as a member of the Board of Directors of that organization. I have personal knowledge of her ability to decipher and explain government rules and regulations. Not only that, she likes doing it. And that's a rare breed because that stuff's pretty unintelligible most of the time. I've never known her to submit any application for grants or programs without proper, authentic, and true documentation. She's been an asset in many ways to the Cultural Center. I am sure the same is true of her work with planning and zoning. I believe the concerns voiced by this group, I'm going to say led by Mindy Nelson, that may be an unfair characterization. If it is, I'm sorry. But I believe they're unfounded. They appear to me to be some sort of vendetta related to the land use code, non-specific in nature, and generated by citizens who live in the county rather than the city of Cortez. If the concern is for Becky's language used in a public meeting, I suggest she spoke out of frustration and fear and in response to inappropriate Facebook comments towards her colleague Lance. Those comments were, and I quote, "If he's missing all his front teeth, he might not be able to talk so much. Shh. If you'll forgive me, I won't add that. Too bad the days of tar and feathering are past." And short rope, tall tree, with which Mindy agreed. In my mind, these comments are threats of violence and no less obscene than the F word. The fact that they appear on Facebook rather than a public meeting does not make them any less offensive. In city residents accept Becky's performance on the Planning and Zoning Board, I see no reason that she not be reappointed. If they are unhappy with the work that is being done, then I encourage them to become members of the Planning and Zoning Board and work to make the changes they feel are needed. As for those individuals who seem to me to be engaging in bullying behavior, who are not directly impacted by the Cortez City Planning and Zoning, I suggest council not reward that behavior by removing Becky from the Planning and Zoning Board. Thank you.
Thank you again, Council. Alan Mays, County Road 21, out in the county in Lewis. Who isn't affected by decisions that this city makes in Montezuma County? Can you tell me? I think everybody is affected by the decisions that this council does approve or disapprove. So I think that comment of people out in the county, we help support this town. I don't want anybody to forget that. We keep this city vibrant. And so please don't take this offensively, but I disagree with your comments. And I think that if the city is looking for reappointing or appointments, they should put that out to the citizens of Cortez. And if people have researched this and aren't seeing it, then mistakes have been made. Because I think maybe there are people jumping up and down to replace these people. I know that things that went on with the land use code was an awakening of how things are done. And I think there are people that want to serve and serve respectfully here in the city of Cortez. And so I too follow up. I wasn't going to add my comments to not reappointing these people, but I think this will be the job of the new council. So those are my comments, and I think you should put this reappointment issue on hold. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel directly...
Elizabeth, before you speak again, you've already had a chance to speak on this issue.
Right. I just wanted to separate myself from the last comment. I am not in any group. I am not affiliated with anybody. I talk for myself and I express my own opinion. And yes, I have interest in the city, and if the executive director of the cultural center does not know about that, I think she should address it maybe more polite and respectfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hillary McMahon. I live at 37A Montezuma Avenue. I'm still quite new to this community. I've been here less than 2 years, and I don't have a prepared statement. Kind of freaked out by microphones. I work with Becky at the Cultural Center. I'm on her staff, and I just want to speak in support of her as as a member of Planning and Zoning. Small communities need people with expertise. Small communities need people who are knowledgeable. I can speak to the fact that, and I think Becky, in her response to why she should be appointed, clearly outlined the knowledge that she has. The other thing that I want to say is that I've been rather dumbfounded at some of the scapegoating that's going on of Becky, who I consider not just a supervisor and a colleague, but a friend. There are connections being drawn that simply don't exist. There's no connection between the CRAFT program, which is a training program for rural communities to help them with tourism marketing, as I understand. There's no connection between that and the land use code and the UN or anything else. It's just that those connections don't exist. And I feel like people are making things up just so go my supervisor. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel Medina, First Street, Cortez. I've been sitting on the board of Planning and Zoning with Becky and Tom for the last almost 3 years, and I would like to say that I'm in favor of reappointing them. But I would also love to see citizens more involved, because when I applied to be on the Planning and Zoning board, they said it was the first time that 2 people had applied at once, and it was Mike and me. Yeah, so I think it's a hard volunteer job. You have to read and understand and thoroughly interpret the code. And I would love to see more people willing to do that. But I think Becky and Tom have done a great job. And a lot of people were not there to witness the work that we did on the land use code. It wasn't like we rubber stamped everything. We put in our comments. We wanted to see changes. But it had been sitting in the works for a long time, so it was finally time to push it to the public, and the public spoke, and City Council denied it, and I think that's the process that's supposed to happen. Obviously, there were a lot of things that need to change for the next time that this comes up, but I believe that they've done their, they come to every meeting prepared to do their best, so I think that needs to be considered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is David Rainey. I live at 1324 Melrose. In the short time I've known Becky, I've observed an individual who cares deeply for her community and has given and continues to give countless hours of her time serving the city. And this is volunteer. The city may support our people, but there are people who work for nothing. They work because they love this community and they want to give. It also occurs to me that there's an element of this community that is always there to throw rocks, but they never seem to step up and run for office. And maybe they could use that energy in the future to step up and let us know what they think before, instead of reacting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Well, I didn't know I was going to have to come up here and defend myself. I just come up to thank the mayor and the council for the job they were doing. And as far as serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission, it is a volunteer position. We meet once a month. However, we do get paid $25 a meeting. That about pays for my gas to drive up and back home. Several years ago, when I was on the council, and I have served with several of these council members, so I know them quite well, as they do me. But one year there was 2 seats on the council that were open. We had 2 people run for those seats. They were unopposed, so they got elected. This year we have, I think it's 14, am I correct, Linda, that are running for council? There's 14 people running for 5 seats. I am tickled to death to see that much civic interest in running for public office. It's enlightening that many people are now actively seeking office. The reason I did, and I have been asked if I would run again for this term, and I said no. I've done that twice, been there. Don't want to do it again. It's a hard, sometimes thankless job, and if you haven't been in that position, you don't know what I'm talking about. The same thing with the planning and zoning. Very few people have ever applied. We only, the last time, like officers for the commission were open, we only had 2 people to apply. I'm not going to ask anyone in here to raise their hands. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed. But I'd like to just know how many people in this room have ever been to a planning and zoning commission meeting. I recognize you. I'm sorry, I don't recognize you.
Usually don't. I go every now and then.
Well, if you've been, that's a plus. But, well, I guess what I'm trying to say, if you want to see what's really going on, come to the meetings. Come to the city council meeting. Usually, unless there's some controversy here like it is tonight over the land use code, there may be 1 or 2 people in this council chamber for a city council meeting. Now that's ridiculous for a town of this size when so much depends on the decisions these people make. Now I can tell you now that Rebecca Levy and I have been on the council, and we have butted heads on more than one occasion. We don't see eye on a number of issues, but at least she's sitting up there trying to make them. I wonder how many of y'all can say the same. If you don't like the job we're doing, run for our job or put in a petition to be appointed in our place. That's fine. But to sit out there and criticize these people or us for trying to do a job that not only benefits me and the city, but everyone in here and the county. You're right. The statement you made, whatever decision is made here, is not only for the people of Cortez, but it's for the people of Montezuma County. Now, if any of you would like to talk to me after the council meeting, I'll be more than happy to stand around and talk to you. But it's like I say, we'll have a discussion. I won't argue with you. And a lot of the comments that are being made and have been made in the paper recently, not only about the local elected official or appointed official, but by the national. I've never seen this country so divided by hate. You know, It's like I submitted a letter to the editor about 3 weeks ago. I'm proud to be an American, and I don't mind admitting it. And anybody who doesn't like that, they can leave the country. That's their choice. I don't have anything else to say, but thank y'all for listening to me.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Has everybody had a chance to say what they want to say? Oh, okay.
My name's Alan Klein, and I live at 206 Lakeside Drive. I've only lived there for 30 years. I previously served on the Planning and Zoning Commission in the 90s. And I remember when I was asked to get on the Planning and Zoning Commission, there wasn't a long line behind me. They were happy to have somebody who would volunteer to serve in that capacity. And I think a lot of people are confused over the perhaps reappointment of a commissioner and the solicitation for a new one. They're not soliciting tonight for openings on the planning and zoning. They're making a decision to renew those people that have already been appointed in the past, whose term is up, but they're able to be renewed. And it's very common those are renewed. And I don't think this is a decision that needs to be deferred until the next city council. These people are quite capable of making that decision, and I strongly encourage you to make that decision tonight, and I strongly encourage you to renew both Tom and Rebecca. In my dealings with both of them, they're very professional and very capable, and the city is well served by their participation on planning and zoning. And those are challenging matters, and I think when the next opening comes, I'm sure there will be a lot more candidates, and you'll have a lot more exciting opportunity, the new council, to select people for those openings that will, inevitably occur. And so I just want to publicly state they've been doing a great job, and I'm proud of them.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy Lindsay again. I would just like to clarify, I don't personally have anything against the commissioners. I just feel like it would be nice if that opportunity were given to members of the community to perhaps send in letters of interest to fill those commissioner positions. So I'm not sure where people are getting the idea of animosity, but I just think that we can have a fair and again transparent process to involve more of the community. As I mentioned earlier, a good opportunity to start perhaps mending some of those divisions, as was brought up, and work together. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other public comments, conversation, discussion?
I'd like to say something. I would like to say that as far as Mr. Butler goes, through the years that I've known him, the years I was on the police department, he was on city council, he has been nothing but respectful. I've never saw him step out of line and say anything disrespectful to anybody. I also talked to Rebecca a couple of weeks ago, and we had a good heart-to-heart talk over what she had said in here that night. I explained to her that it was unethical, that it would not be tolerated. We could not tolerate that. And she apologized and apologized. She said she was so, so sorry, and that she was no longer using social media at all. She understands she's wrong. She stated that she really does not have anything against the vets, that she does like the vets. And so, as far as I'm concerned, everybody deserves a second chance, and I think In my mind, she deserves a second chance. And that's all I've got to say about it.
Is that your motion?
Do you want me to make the motion? Yes.
You want?
Okay, I make the motion that we go on ahead and reappoint both Mr. Butler and Rebecca Levy to the Planning and Zoning Commissioner for another term.
I second that.
Betts?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye. I think that, John,
Council, I request that council table ordinance number 1275, Series 2020, and send it back to the Planning Commission for redo.
I'll make a motion to table ordinance number 1275, Series 2020.
I second that.
Levy?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Sheik?
aye. We have no draft resolutions or ordinances. We have no other items of business. At this point, is there any citizen that would like to address council? Going once, going twice. There is no city attorney's report. John?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to, at Dean Palmquist's request, make the announcement to get a big crowd at the City Park on Thursday, March 19th at 1 p.m. City Park is at the stage area, and it's going to be renamed as Veterans Park, and we're going to have a dedication that day, and we'd like citizen participation. Thank you.
Was that March?
It's at 1.
1 o'clock on the 19th.
All right, have any city council members been to a meeting?
Yes. I was at the Historical Preservation meeting this week. We did a workshop, went and looked at the Minsky home at a stairway, and they're trying to get a grant to help build a stairway. But I was kind of fascinated with the house. It's been years since I was in the house. And when I was in it this time, they have done a tremendous amount of work on this house, but it's done in very good taste. It makes you feel like you walk back into that age. I also found out that there's 5 stories to this house that I would have never thought had more than 2. And anyway, I don't know how his grants are going to turn out or anything, but I just thought it was just really nice, really nice.
And it's on the Historic Register, I think,
Yes,
is it not?
it is.
Yeah. So. All right. Any other reports?
I don't have a report, but I would like to talk about a citizen of ours. Recently, and I hope to get most of this right, Dr. Kelly Busby, who is an osteopathy here in town, was chosen by her national peers to serve on the National Board of Osteopathic Doctors.
Wow.
There's only 30 of them in the nation. And I think it'd be wonderful, I guess I'm putting a plug in, if the paper could maybe do a story on this, because this is quite the honor. This is not something that many doctors are recognized for anywhere, and be great to see. So.
And she is a graduate from the school system.
She is a graduate from Cortez High School.
Yep, yep. So, all right, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Yes, Mike.
I attended the 2020 water conservation effort headed by Phil Johnson, and was attended by several staff members. And we're continuing efforts to conserve water in the city, and we have all sorts of programs lined up. And It's been kind of a dry winter. We haven't had the snowfall we were hoping we were going to get, but we're still working on conserving water. Several members of that committee are doing their efforts. Phil actually got several toilets, dual flush toilets to conserve water. I commend him for doing that. So I'm doing a landscaping project on my property. I'm getting rid of the grass between the sidewalk and the street and replacing it with gravel and drip line and drought-tolerant plants. And we're going to have more efforts in the city to conserve water. And we urge all of you to look at your water bills and see how much water you're using each month and kind of pay attention to that, because the water is a precious resource here and we can't afford to waste it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. That first workshop is going to be on the 28th at Four Seasons at 1 o'clock. The city is providing the materials for the first 20 Cortez residents that sign up for the class for free. That's a $50 value, so that doesn't even count what you might save with the water you collect. So if you've been interested in doing a rain barrel at your house, why, sign up. Though I think there's probably going to be some additional information on the city website. So the workshop this evening, we had a presentation by the Durango swim team requesting the use of the city facilities. That team is made up of not only kids from Durango, but also kids from Cortez, and they are wanting to use our pool that is a larger pool in order to give those youngsters an opportunity to be able to develop some endurance for when they go to the swim meets that require that they swim longer distances. We also had a presentation on a proposed band shell. This is a project that actually originated from the citizenry of this community. We've got a number of people who are interested in having a band shell constructed so that there will be a nice place for those who like to perform music to be able to give concerts. And so we're moving forward on that process. As mentioned earlier, there was a discussion about the naming of the South Neighborhood Park, and that has been tabled until we can get an additional survey out. The remainder of the workshop then was taken up with an executive session. At this point, are there any other items for the good of the...
I have one more. I'd just like to commend all the city council candidates in the audience tonight. I count at least 9 folks that are interested in being on the city council, and I'm really impressed that there's so much interest in this community from the people here that live, and I really thank you very much for the interest you're showing in our community. Thank you very much, folks.
For showing up tonight. All right, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned.
What is the